All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Carla Carter. I'll be the host slash moderator for this evening's Basics and Foundations class. Our topic for today is going to be Genesis 11, no, 21 through 30. I need to fix this. 21 through 30, and we're going to go ahead and start with a prayer, and then we'll jump right into the lesson. Vanessa, can you lead us in prayer tonight?
I sure will. Let us bow our hearts and minds for prayer. Our dear Heavenly Father Yahweh, as we are assembled here tonight in thine holy name, Father, we ask that you feed us with your knowledge, your wisdom, and your understanding. We ask that you guide our path in righteousness so that we can be obedient to thine holy word. Father, as you have given us grace and mercy, we ask that you allow us to spread and to give to others that you have given to us, that they may be partakers as we have been. Father, we ask all these things in your Son's name, Yahshua the Messiah. Let us all say hallelujah.
Hallelujah. All right, very good. Thank you. All right, and again, our lesson for this week was to read Genesis 21 through 30 because we are going through the third trip that Moses took up into the mount. The very first trip, there were three trips. The very first one he took up in Exodus, the 19th chapter, where he goes to the plateau of the mount on June 3rd, 1490 BBY, and Yahweh tells him to tell the children of Israel to clean up. In 3 days he'd speak to them. And then also the second trip is when he went up into the top of Mount Sinai, when in the 24th chapter of Exodus, when Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, 70 of the elders of Israel, were on the plateau of the mount. Moses alone was to go up into the top of the mount, where Yahweh gave Moses the vision of the creation within 7 days. Of those 40 days he was up there, the other 33 days he showed his attention to the tabernacle and the book of life, and he gave him the first tables of stones with the law, Ten Commandment law on it. After that, he came down, saw the golden calf, broke the first tables of stones. He was told to come up and hew out 2 tables of stones, just like the first one in the 34th chapter of Genesis. And this is where he was up into the mount 40 days and 40 nights again. And then he wrote down what he saw in that particular vision. And that's where we pick up Genesis, the 2nd chapter, through Exodus, the 2nd chapter. And so we're in the middle of reading his vision in the third trip. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into Genesis 21st chapter. Let's see, who wants to read first for me? Genesis 21 and 1.
I'll start it off.
Thank you.
Okay. Genesis 21st chapter. And Yahweh remembered Sarah as he had said, and Yahweh did unto Sarah as he had spoken. And Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age at the set time of which Elohim had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him, Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old, as Elohim had commanded him. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him. And Sarah said, Elohim hath made me to rejoice, so that all that hear will rejoice with me. And she said, who would have said unto Abraham that Sarah should have given children suck? For I have borne a son in his old age. And the child grew and was weaned. And Abraham made a great feast the day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, which she had borne unto Abraham, mocking. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son Isaac. And the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight on account of his son. And Elohim said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous in thy sight because of the lad and because of thy bondwoman. And all that Sarah had said unto thee, hearken unto her voice. For in Isaac shall thy seed be called. And also of the son of the bondwoman will I make a nation, because he is thy seed. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and a bottle of water and gave it unto Hagar, putting it on her shoulder and the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. And the water was spent in the bottle, and she cast the child under one of the shrubs. And she went and set her down over against him a good way off, as it were a bow shot. For she said, let me not see the death of the child. And she sat over against him and lifted up her voice and wept. And Elohim heard the voice of the lad, and the angel of Elohim called to Hagar out of the heavens and said unto her, what aileth thee, Hagar? Fear not, for Elohim hath heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up the lad, and hold him in thine hand, for I will make him a great nation. And Elohim opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the bottle with water, and gave the lad drink. And Elohim was with the lad, and he grew, and dwelt in the wilderness, and became an archer. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran. And his mother took him a wife out of the land of Egypt. And it came to pass at that time that Abimelech and Phicol, the chief captain of his host, spake unto Abraham, saying, Elohim is with thee in all that thou doest. Now therefore swear unto me here by Elohim, that thou wilt not deal falsely with me, nor with my son, nor with my son's son, but according to the kindness that I have done unto thee, thou shalt do unto me, and to the land wherein thou hast sojourned. And Abraham said, I will swear. And Abraham reproved Abimelech because of a well of water, which Abimelech's servant had valiantly taken away. And Abimelech said, I knew not who did this thing, neither didst thou tell me, neither yet heard I of it, but today. And Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them unto Abimelech, and both of them made a covenant. And Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock by themselves. And Abimelech said unto Abraham, what mean these 7 ewe lambs which thou hast set by themselves? And he said, for these 7 ewe lambs thou shalt take of my hand, that they may be a witness unto me that I have digged this well. Wherefore he called that place Beersheba, because there they swear both of them. Thus they made a covenant at Beersheba. Then Abimelech rose up, and Phicol, the chief captain of his host, and they returned into the land of the Philistines. And Abraham planted a grove in Beersheba, and called there on the name of Yahweh El Olam. And Abraham sojourned in the Philistines' land many days. Genesis 21st chapter.
All right, thank you. All right, let's get started, get into this 21st chapter. So this is the chapter right after Yahweh came unto Abraham. I think this is after Abimelech, when he was in Abimelech's land, and Abimelech had took Sarah, and Yahweh gave him a dream and told him he was a dead man. And he was like, oh, in integrity of my heart, this happened. I didn't know, so forth and so on. That was right before, this is right after that chapter. And then right before that, that's when, Lot was in trouble, Abraham and Lot. So anyway, so all this that you read in the 21st chapter of Genesis, anything sticks out to anybody? Let me ask you this. Where did Hagar come from?
Egypt.
All right. So how did she end up with Abraham?
She was
She was Sarah's handmaid.
And how did she become Sarah's handmaid? Or when did she become Sarah's handmaid?
when she was when Pharaoh took Sarah and realized that Sarah was Abraham's, Pharaoh sent Abraham with a bunch of substance, and one of those things that he received was handmaiden Hagar, who was an Egyptian servant.
And we proved that by going to Genesis the 12th chapter. That was actually given him before he found out that that was his wife, I believe, if I remember correctly. Genesis the 12th chapter is when Abraham went into Egypt, and he told Sarah to tell them that you're my sister. And so it says, 15th verse, the princess also of Pharaoh saw her and commended her before Pharaoh, and the woman was taken in Pharaoh's house. And he entreated Abram well for her sake. And he had sheep and oxen and he asses and men servants and maid servants and she asses and camels. And Yahweh plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. And Pharaoh called Abram and said, what is this that thou hast done unto me? Why dost thou now tell me that she was thy wife? And why saidst thou she is my sister? So I might have taken her to be my wife. And therefore, behold, thy wife, take her and go. Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they went, and they sent him on his way, his wife and all that he had. So he had maid servants, men servants, and things like that. And so Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south. And Abram was very rich in silver, cattle, silver, and gold. And he went on his journey, so forth and so on. There's a place where it talks about and the souls that he had gathered as well. Where is that at? Let me see. Oh, yeah, here it is in the fifth verse. And the souls that they had gotten, and that's just about the ones that were wrong. Anyway, so Pharaoh entreated Abram well for Sarah, so he had cattle, gold, silver, maid servants, men servants, and that's where he picked up Hagar, the bondwoman. And so one of the things that we pick up when there was famine in the land, Abram went down into Egypt. He came out with great substance too, and the very ewe lambs and the things like that he came up out of Egypt with. In the 15th chapter of Genesis, he had to use some of that substance to sacrifice unto Yahweh when he said, how will I know? And Yahweh said, take a heifer 3 years old, turtle dove, ram, on kids after the die. So when the children, there was a famine in the land of Canaan in Jacob's time or Israel's time, they had to go into Egypt too. And when it was time for them to come out, they came out with great substance as well. And some of the substance that they came out with, they had to also use that to sacrifice the servants to Yahweh too. So it's a round trip. It's repeating itself over and over again. All right, so Hagar came from Egypt. She was an Egyptian woman, and that was one of the maidens that, or the maid servants that was given to Abraham in Egypt. How old was Ishmael when he was cast out? When Abraham had to cast Ishmael out, how old was he?
I think he was
He was how old?
I think he was 16.
Are you saying 1-6?
That's correct. 1-6.
Okay. Anybody got something different?
I thought 15.
Yeah, he was 15.
Wait, I thought he was 15 when him and Isaac was 15 years apart, but then Isaac was weaned, and when he was weaned, which is a year, they were making him 16. That's when he was cast out, right?
He was cast out at the age of 15. So let's go back and look at it. So I think it's Genesis the 18th chapter is when he was given the let's see, this is when the birth of Isaac was promised. He was 86 years old. Abraham was 86 years old when he had Ishmael, remember? He was 86 years old when Ishmael was born, right? Remember that part?
Yes, sorry.
Right. Okay, so he was 6. Okay, so 86. And at the age of 99, Ishmael was 13 years old when Abram was circumcised at the age of 99. So he was 13 when Ishmael was 13 when he was circumcised. that's when Yahweh said, at the same time, next year I will come again and Sarah shall have a son. So at the age of 100 is when Isaac comes on the scene. So at the age of 14 is when Ishmael was 14 when Isaac was born. And so 1 year of him being weaned, he was 15 years old. Let's see, when did covenant circumcision was the next chapter, I believe, in the 19th chapter, I think it was. Where's covenant circumcision? Which chapter is it? Is
Yeah,
it 20?
I could have sworn, because I know on that one chart, Isaac was 25 when he
Right.
was offered up.
Exactly. Right.
40.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 15 years difference.
Right. And the times they were born. Right. I mean, not born, cast out. Right. Wow. Let me see. Let me pull it up real quick. He was cast out at the age of 15 because there was another. Remember with him being cast out, casting out the bondwoman. That's why Dr. Kim was saying that it was 15 cubits above the highest mountain or something like that with the 15. Anyway, where is the covenant of circumcision? Circumcised. How do you spell circumcised? Am I spelling it right? G-E? No. How do you spell circumcised?
CIRCUM.
S-I-S-E?
Yes, SISED.
CISE.
Oh yeah, some tripping.
C-I.
Mhm.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Let's see. Covenant circumcision was 17th chapter. Okay, let's see. I thought he was 15 when he was cast out. But anyway, let's see. 8 days old, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so yeah. So Isaac was 13 when he was circumcised, right? The very next year is when Isaac was born, when Ishmael was 14. So Ishmael was weaned, so one more year passed, so he was 15 when Ishmael was cast out. He was 15 years old.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
I have to look at that, because if they're 15 years apart,
It's right here in the book. It's right here in the book. Where? It's right. So 17th chapter, 25th verse, it says, and Ishmael, his son, was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. In the self-same day was Abraham circumcised and Ishmael, his son. And then this is where Yahweh told him that at this time next year, I will come again and Sarah shall have a son, blah, blah, blah. The very next year, and it says right here, Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised. Ishmael was 13 years old when he was circumcised. We know that he had Isaac at the age of 100. So 1 year later, when Abram was 100 years old, that means Ishmael had to be 14 years old when Isaac was born. It's right here in black and white. And so the very next year, after he was weaned, Ishmael was 15 years old when he was cast out.
Okay.
It's right here in black and white. But anyway, and I know what you're talking about. I know what you're saying about the 20. Isaac was 25 and Ishmael was 40 and da da da. But if I remember correctly, I think it's one where he was saying he rounded up to whatever. Anyway, but yeah, Ishmael was 15 when he was cast out. Anything else that y'all see in the 21st chapter of Genesis that stood out to you? This is my first time ever seeing this one. I was like, wow, whoa. This is actually really pretty to me. Anybody else?
Carla, and it's something that Yahweh had showed me, but just to share, just like he appeared unto Moses at a well. And you see here, he opened up Hagar's eyes and she saw a well, and what I was looking at was the Messiah when he's talking, and he's talking about, when he tells the woman at the well, if you had just asked, I would have given you that everlasting water. And so here is showing now Hagar, and we know Hagar represents the Gentiles. And so here Yahweh is showing, and only Yahweh can reveal it, that he truly is an Elohim of both the Jews and the Gentiles.
Now the scripture says Hagar represents the flesh or bondage or Mount Sinai, the law. That's what Hagar represents, not the Gentiles, but she does represent the law and the bondage. And you're actually really close to what I was looking at with the whale. So if you scroll down a little bit more, how many ewe lambs did Abram give Abimelech? He gave him 7 ewe lambs for this whale that they had did.
Ewe lambs are females.
Right, and then you got the 7 women at the well with Moses. And in the fulfillment, the woman had 7 husbands at the well with Yahweh.
Right.
And so I was like, wow, it had to be 7 ewe lambs at the for the doggone well that Abraham proved Abimelech for, or whatever. I was like, wow, that's beautiful. That's really pretty. Awesome. All right, cool. I don't spend too much time on that. Let's go to the 22nd chapter of Genesis. This is going to be a good one. So who wants to read the 22nd chapter for me? I'll read it. 22nd, 22 and 1. And it came to pass after these things that Elohim did prove Abraham and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son, Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his ass and took 2 of his young men with him and Isaac his son and clave the wood for the burnt offering. Somebody got some noise for me. Let me try. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his ass and took 2 of his young men with him and Isaac his son and clave the wood for the burnt offering and rose up and went unto the place of which Elohim had told him. Then on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship and come again to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son, and he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both of them together. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father and said, My father. And he said, Here am I, my son. And he said, Behold the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, Elohim will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both of them together. And they came to the place which Elohim had told him of. And Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of Yahweh called unto him out of heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest Elohim, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son. And Abraham called the name of the place Yahweh Jireh. As it is said today, to this day, in the mount of Yahweh it shall be seen. And the angel of Yahweh called unto Abraham out of heaven the 2nd time, and said, By myself have I sworn, said Yahweh, for because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, that in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thee as the stars of the heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore, and thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned unto his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba. And Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. And it came to pass after these things that it was told Abraham, saying, Behold, Milcah, she hath also borne children unto thy brother Nahor, Huz his firstborn, and Buz his brother, and Shemuel the father of Aram, and Chet, and Hazo, and Pildash, and Jitla, and Bethuel. And Bethuel begot Rebekah. These 8 Milcah did bear to Nahor, Abraham's brother, and his concubine, whose name was Reumah. She bare also Teba, and Gaham, and Zahash, and Massa. That's Genesis, the 22nd chapter. All right, what y'all got? What stands out? What y'all got for the 22nd chapter of Genesis?
One thing, and especially the thing that has been expressed so much lately to explain where heaven is. And you see here where the angel of Yahweh, which was Yahweh himself, spake unto Abraham. And you see how that, and it said he spake unto him out of heaven the second time.
Mm-hmm.
So you see that Yahweh wasn't shouting down out of the sky talking to Abraham. He was right there with Abraham. And you know, we all always say, especially when you get to that part where Abraham said unto Isaac, Elohim will provide himself a sacrifice. And that's exactly what he did. He himself was the sacrifice, because in that he had promised Abraham that seed, even though he was able to give him that seed in his old age, he still was able, he was proving Abraham. And that's what Abraham was asking Yahweh in the 12th chapter. Yahweh, whereby will I know that you're going to do these things? And then Yahweh said, then Abraham believed Yahweh, and it was accounted to him for righteousness. So how much more so when he get over here? And he said in that second verse right there, where he said, take now thine son, thine only, whom thou lovest. It wasn't that Abraham didn't love Isaac, because he truly did love his son. It's just that he was being obedient unto Yahweh. So whatever Yahweh told him to do, that's what he was willing to do. And Yahweh truly did speak to him from heaven right there within himself, because that's how he heard him, because he spoke to him from heaven right there within himself. And then Yahweh did provide himself a sacrifice, that male lamb or ram caught in the thickets by his horn, which was typifying Yahshua the Messiah. And Yahweh is showing here that he is making good on that promise, that I will multiply thy seed, and I'm going to bless all families of the earth through your seed.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Very good. Very good. Okay. Anybody else?
I'd like to just piggyback off of what Dr. Collins had said, with Yahweh Elohim providing himself as a sacrifice. When we go over to Genesis, the 6th chapter, in 6 and 3, it states that I appeared unto Abraham and unto Isaac and unto Jacob as El Shaddai. So right within that, it says, but my name Yahweh was I not known to them. So if we insert El Shaddai, will provide himself a lamb, right within the name is saying what he came in to do. El Shaddai will provide himself. He was the lamb, the true lamb. That's all.
Good. Okay. Anybody else?
Just, you know, you see some principles in there, you know, blood, water, spirit. within the chapter with Abraham offering up his son, Isaac carrying the wood and the fire up the mountain. And, that's, causing him to sweat. And then the spirit with the angel stay in his hand. And Ishmael being 40 years old at that time.
Very good. All right. Anybody else? Okay. 23rd chapter then. Who wants to read 23rd chapter for me?
I'll read.
Morgan.
Oh,
Go ahead. Thank you.
Genesis, the 23rd chapter. And Sarah was 107 and 20 years old. These were the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died in Kirjatha Harbor, the same as in Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abram came to to mourn Sarah and to weep for her. And Abram stood up from before his, and Abraham stood up from before his dead and spake unto the sons of Heth, saying, I am a stranger and a sojourner with you. Give me a possession of a burying place with you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the children of Heth answered, saying unto him, Hear us, my master. Thou art a mighty prince among us, and in the choice of our sepulchres bury thy dead. None of us shall withhold from thee his sepulchre, but that thou mayest bury thy dead. And Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land, even to the children of Heth. And he communed with them, saying, If it be your mind that I should bury my dead out of my sight, hear me and entreat for me to Ephron, the son of Zohar, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he hath, which is in the end of his field. For as much money as it is worth, he shall give it me for a possession of a burying place amongst you. And Ephraim dwelt among the children of Heth. And Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the audience of the children of Heth, even of all that went in at the gate of his city, saying, Nay, my master, hear me. The field give I thee, the cave that is therein, I give it thee. In the presence of the sons of my people give I it thee. Bury thy dead. And Abraham bowed down himself before the people of the land. And he spake unto Ephron in the audience of the people of the land, saying, But if thou wilt give it, I pray thee, hear me. I will give thee money for the field. Take it of me, and I will bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying unto him, My master, hearken unto me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that betwixt me and thee? Bury therefore thy dead. And Abraham hearkened unto Ephron, and Abraham weighed to Ephron the silver, which he had named in the audience of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, current money with the merchant. And the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field, and the cave which was therein, and all the trees that are there in the field, that were in all the borders round about, were made sure unto Abraham for a possession in the presence of the children of Heth, before all that went in at the gate of his city. And after this, Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave of the field of Machpelah before Mamre. The same is Hebron in the land of Canaan. And the field and the cave that is therein were made sure unto Abraham for a possession of a burying place by the sons of Heth.
All right, very good. Thank you, Kim. All right, anything with this chapter? I want to take note that Sarah was 127 years old when she died. I want to make note of that for the next couple of chapters coming up. Right? Who wants to read the next chapter for me in 24th chapter of Genesis? Moving right along.
I'll read
Okay, thank
Genesis 24. And Abraham was old and well stricken in age, and Yahweh had blessed Abraham in all things. And Abraham said unto his eldest servant of his house that ruled over all that he had, Put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and I will make thee swear by Yahweh, the Elohim of heaven, and the Elohim of the earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell. But thou shalt go into my country and to my kindred, and take a wife unto my son Isaac. And the servant said unto him, Peradventure the woman will not be willing to follow me unto this land. Must I needs bring thy son again unto the land from whence thou comest? And Abraham said unto him, Beware thou that thou bring not my son thither again. Yahweh Elohim of the heavens, which took me from my father's house and from the land of my kindred, and which spake unto me, and that sware unto me, saying, Unto thy seed will I give this land. He shall send his angel before thee, and thou shalt take a wife unto my son from thence. And if the woman will not be willing to follow thee, then thou shalt be clear from this my oath. Only bring not my son thither again. And the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham, his master, and sware to him concerning that matter. And the servant took 10 camels of the camels of his master and departed, for all the goods of his master were in his hand. And he arose and went to Mesopotamia, unto the city of Nahor. And he made his camels to kneel down without the city by a well of water at the time of the evening, even the time that women go out to draw water. And he said, O Yahweh Elohim of my master Abraham, I pray thee, send me good speed this day, and show kindness unto my master Abraham. Behold, I stand here by the well of water, and the daughters of the men of the city come out to draw water. And let it come to pass that the dancemaid to whom I shall say, Let down thy pitcher, I pray thee that I may drink. And she shall say, Drink, and I will give thy camels drink also. Let the same be she that thou hast appointed for thy servant Isaac. And thereby shall I know that thou hast showed kindness unto my master. And it came to pass before he had done speaking, that behold, Rebekah came out, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, whom her pitcher upon her shoulder. And the dancemaid was very fair to look upon, a virgin, neither had any man known her. And she went down to the well and filled her pitcher and came up. And the servant ran to meet her and said, Let me, I pray thee, drink a little water of thy pitcher. And she said, Drink, my master. And she hurried and let down her pitcher upon her hand and gave him drink. And when she had done giving him drink, she said, I will draw water for thy camels also, until they have done drinking. And she hurried and emptied her pitcher into the trough and ran again unto the well to draw water, and drew for all his camels. And the man, wondering at her, held his peace, to wit whether Yahweh had made his journey prosperous or not. And it came to pass, as the camels had done drinking, that the man took a golden jewel for the forehead of a shekel, of half a shekel weight, and 2 bracelets for her hands of 10 shekels weight of gold, and said, Whose daughter art thou? Tell me, I pray thee, is there room in thy father's house for us to lodge in? And she said unto him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, which she bare unto Nahor. She said moreover unto him, we have both straw and prevent, I can't say that one, provender enough, and room to lodge in. And the man bowed down his head and worshiped Yahweh. And he said, Blessed be Yahweh Elohim of my master Abraham, who have not left destitute my master of his mercy and his truth. I being in the way, Yahweh led me to the house of my master's brethren, and the dancemel ran and told them of her mother's house these things. And Rebekah had a brother, and his name was Laban. And Laban ran out unto the man unto the well. And it came to pass when he saw the earrings and bracelets upon his sister's hand, and when he heard the words of Rebekah, his sister, saying, Thus spake the man unto me, that he came unto the man, and behold, he stood by the camels at the well. And he said, Come in, thou blessed of Yahweh. Wherefore standest thou without? For I have prepared the house and room for the camels. And the man came into the house, and he ungirded his camels, and gave straw and provender for the camels, and water to wash his feet, and the men's feet that were with him. And there was set before him to eat. But he said, I will not eat until I have told mine errand. And he said, Speak on. And he said, I am Abraham's servant, and Yahweh hath blessed my master greatly, and he is become great, and he hath given him flocks and herds and silver and gold and men servant and maid servants and camels and asses. And Sarah, my master's wife, bare a son to my master when she was old, and unto him hath he given all that he hath. And my master hath made me swear, saying, Thou shalt not take a wife to my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, in whose land I dwell. But thou shalt go unto my father's house and to my kindred, and take a wife unto my son. And I said unto my master, Peradventure the woman will not follow me. And he said unto me, Yahweh, before whom I walk, will send his angel with thee, and prosper thy way. And thou shalt take a wife for my son of my kindred and of my father's house. Then shalt thou be clear from this my oath, when thou comest to my kindred, and if they give not thee one, thou shalt be clear from my oath. And I came this day unto the well, and said, O Yahweh Elohim of my master Abraham, if now thou do prosper my way which I go, behold, I stand by the well of water, and it shall come to pass that when the virgin cometh forth to draw water, and I say to her, Give me, I pray thee, a little water of thy pitcher to drink, and she say to me, Both drink thou, and I will also draw for thy camels. Let the same be the woman whom Yahweh hath appointed out for my master's son. And before I had done speaking in my heart, behold, Rebekah came forth with her pitcher on her shoulder, and she went down unto the well and drew water. And I said unto her, Let me drink, I pray thee. And she hurried and let down her pitcher and said, Drink, and I will give thy camels drink also. So I drank, and she made the camels drink also. And I asked her and said, Whose daughter art thou? And she said, The daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bare unto him. I put the earrings upon her face and the bracelets upon her hands. And I bowed down my head and worshiped Yahweh and blessed Yahweh Elohim of my master Abraham, which had led me in the right way to take my master's brother's daughter unto his son. And now, if ye will deal kindly and truly with my master, tell me. And if not, tell me, that I may turn to the right hand or to the left. Then Laban and Bethuel answered and said, the thing proceedeth from Yahweh. We cannot speak unto thee bad or good. Behold, Rebekah is before thee. Take her and go, and let her be thy master's son's wife, as Yahweh hath spoken. And it came to pass that when Abraham's servant heard their words, he worshiped Yahweh, bowing himself to the earth. And the servant brought forth jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment and gave them to Rebekah. He gave also to her brother and to her mother precious things. And they did eat and drink, he and the men that were with him, and tarried all night. And they rose up in the morning, and he said, send me away unto my master. And her brother and her mother said, let the damsel abide with us a full year, or at least 10 months. After that, she shall go. And he said unto them, hinder me not, seeing Yahweh has prospered my way. Send me away that I may go to my master. And they said, we will call the damsel and inquire at her mouth. And they called Rebekah. And she said unto her, will thou go with this man? And she said, I will go. And they sent away Rebekah, their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant, and his men. And they blessed Rebekah, and said unto her, our sister, be thou the mother of thousands, of millions, and let thy seed possess the gates of those which hate them. And Rebekah arose, and her dancemel, and they rode upon the camels, and followed the man. And the servant took Rebekah, and went his way. And Isaac came from the way of the well, Leharoah, for he dwelt in the south country. And Isaac went out to pray in the field at the eventide, and lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, the camels were coming. And Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she lighted off the camel. For she had said unto the servant, what man is this that walketh in the field to meet us? And the servant had said, it is my master. Therefore she took a veil and covered herself. And the servant told Isaac all the things that he had done. And Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent, and took Rebekah, and she became his wife. And he loved her. And Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. Genesis, the 24th
Very good.
chapter.
Thank you. That was a long one. All right, very
Yes.
good. Get your breath. All right. Anything out of that one, you guys? Anybody got anything on that one that they want to share? So much. Anything? Anybody?
Just one thing, I heard that she was told she can't choose from the Canaanites. She had to stay within that family. And that's also that's something else. But anyway, that's what I caught. That's all.
Yep. Abraham said that he couldn't take a daughter of the Canaanites. He had to go back to his country to find his son a wife. Yep. One thing that stood out to me was when in the 5th verse where it says, and the servant said of him, peradventure the woman will not be willing to follow me unto this land. Now, mind you, Abraham is sending his servant to get a wife for his son, right? A wife. Peradventure the woman will not be willing to follow me unto this land. Must I need bring thy son again unto the land from whence thou camest? And Abraham said unto him, beware thou doest thou know. And he said, Yahweh, he said El Shaddai of heaven, which took me from my father's house and from the land of my kindred, and which spake unto me, and that swear unto me, saying, unto thy seed will I give this land. He shall send his angel before thee, and thou shalt take a wife unto my son from thence. So he's sending his servant to get a wife for his son, but it's the angel who is going to lead him and lead the wife back to him. The angel's going to do the job. The angel shall go before thee right? And so remember with the children of Israel, Yahweh's wife, the angel was to go before them. Yahweh told Moses, I'll send the angel before thee to lead you in the way. And Moses was Yahweh's servant. And Moses and the angel, Joshua, led the children of Israel to Mount Sinai to marry Yahweh at that mount. It was the angel that spoke to Moses in the burning bush and told him to come down into Egypt. How will I know that you sent me? This shall be a token unto you. Same thing with Abraham and his servant. This is how you're going to know, Yahweh is going to do this thing for you. And so the servant made it known what he wanted to happen. And that's how Yahweh showed him that Yahweh really did send him. Yahweh sent his angel before him, and the angel was with him and prospered his way. Same thing with Moses being sent to bring forth Yahweh's bride to him. The angel had to go before him to do the same thing. I thought that was beautiful. Anybody got anything else in the 24th chapter of Genesis?
Mine is more so a question for the body, for everyone. In the second chapter where it says, put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and I will make thee swear by Yahweh. My thing is that was that like a thing with the Israelites when they was to make an oath or a promise? I remember something with one of the other patriarchs, I don't know if it was Jacob or Joseph, that they wrestled with the angel and he touched his thigh, I think it was.
It was Jacob.
Yeah, so that's my question, is dealing with this thigh, and even in the law it talks about it. If one woman was caught in adultery or something like that, or her husband was jealous, he became jealous, that the thigh would shrivel up. It's in the scriptures that the thigh would shrivel up. So I'm like, what is with the thigh? Because this is, again, it's talking about the thigh. So if anybody can help out with
I'm
that.
not sure, because if you look at the 47th chapter of Genesis, it also says where Israel, when he got ready to die, he told he had Joseph put his hand under his thigh and make him promise that he would not bury him in Egypt. But I don't know. I guess evidently it must have been a tradition with them.
That was in
47:29. Genesis 47:29.
Okay.
I used to ask that question all the time, and the bone representing the spirit or the inner man, and the thigh bone is if I'm not mistaken, I want to get it right because it's been some years that I asked that question. The thigh bone is the longest or biggest bone in the body. Because it's been some 30, 40 years ago that I asked that same question, because I did not understand the significance, because like you say, you read in so many places in there, and it's usually when they're when I first read it, it was this part right here where he was making him promise. And then there was another place with Abraham talking about putting it hands under the thigh to make a promise. And so with it being the biggest bone in the body, and I'm like, I still wrestled with that, with the significance of them, because whenever they would have to make a promise or a covenant, so to speak, then they put their hands under the thigh to make that promise.
Yeah, I only see two places where they did that. Abraham did it with his servant, and then Israel did it with Joseph.
It's several places where it talks about.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm assuming so. I'm not sure the significance, so yeah.
Okay.
Anybody else? 24th chapter of Genesis.
One thing I thought was so beautiful was that the servant, that he was praying and he was praying unto Abraham's Elohim, but he was praying fervently for it. And Yahweh did what he asked of him, exactly how he asked. Like he prayed a prayer, and he was very specific, and exactly what he asked, the Father did it just that way. I thought that was just beautiful, because a lot of times people would tell us that, prayers don't matter or something like that. But anyway, whatever. I'm gonna go there.
And because of this, actually, I've been confident enough to try Yahweh and ask him specifically things that I want him to do, and he did it just like I asked him to do every time, actually. So yeah, faith comes by hearing, and hearing the word of Yahweh. So when we read these things, this is what establishes our faith. This helps establish our faith in Yahweh. When we read how Yahweh dealt with them, then we know it's possible for us too. So yep. And then Isaac took Rebekah, his wife. In the very next chapter, we'll see how old Isaac was. He was comforted with his wife Rebekah. Yep. Anybody else? 24th chapter of Genesis before we move on to the 25th. Genesis 25. Who wants to read that one for me?
I'll read it again. Oh, okay.
I'll read it. Genesis 25:1, starting there. All right. Then again, Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah. And she bare him Zimram, and Jokshan, and Medan, and Midian. That's where the priest of Midian, and Ishbak, and Shua. And Jokshan begat Sheba, and Dedan. And the sons of Dedan were Ashram, and Letushim, and Reumim. And the sons of Midian, Ephah, and Epher, and Hanok, and Abidah, and Eldai. All these were the children of Keturah. And Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac, but unto the sons of the concubines, which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts, and sent them away from his son, from Isaac his son, which he yet lived, while he yet lived, eastward unto the east country. And these are the days of the years of Abraham's life, which he lived, 175 years. So he was 175 years old after he died. Then Abraham gave up the ghost and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people. And his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite, which is before Mamre. The field which Abraham purchased of the sons of Heth. There was Abraham buried, and Sarah his wife. And it came to pass, after the death of Abraham, that Elohim blessed his son Isaac. And Isaac dwelt by the well Lahorah. Now these are the generations of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's handmaid, bare unto Abraham. And these are the names of the sons of Ishmael, by their names according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nebajoth, and Kedar, and Adbeel, and Mibsam, and Mishma, and Duma, and Massa, Hadar, Tema, Jetur, Naphish, and Kedema. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names by their towns and by their castles, 12 princes according to their nations. And these are the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. And he gave up the ghost and died, and was gathered unto his people. And they dwelt from Havilah unto Shur, that is before Egypt, as thou goest toward Assyria, and he died in the presence of all his brethren. And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel the Syrian of Paddan Aram, the sister of Laban the Syrian. And Isaac entreated Yahweh for his wife, because she was barren, and Yahweh was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived, and the children struggled together with her, within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that came out his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. And the boys grew. And Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. And Jacob saw it pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, behold, I'm at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he sware unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils. And he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Genesis 25th chapter. All right, where y'all at on this one? What y'all got? What stood out?
Well, I'll just say that I noticed Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac, whereas and then he had sent his other sons, his other children that he had with Keturah, he sent them away from Isaac to separate them. And Isaac, another thing, just looking at principles, he had lived eastward in the East Country, and you see that pattern of East being associated with the first man Adam, and also with Yahshua Messiah being the second man Adam. Adam being the eastward of that tree was planted eastward in the garden, and then with Yahshua Messiah, the star being in the east. So you see Isaac dwelling eastward in the country. I mean, that's just one thing, but it's so much in this chapter to kind of really unpack. You even see some death, burial, with Abraham. He buried his wife. She had died, buried his wife, and even in continuation with Isaac mourning his mother for 3 years and whatnot in the in the coming chapters. But it's just it's a lot there. And Isaac being 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, it's a ridiculous amount of where a lot of principles intersect there. So,
you see death, burial, resurrection in 3, and you see blood, water, spirit 40 in 2. So when Sarah, Isaac's mom, died, she died at the age of 127, right? 127 years. And she was 90 years old when Isaac was born unto her. So that means Isaac was 37 years old when his mom died. So that's a death. Then they buried her. And at the age of 40 is when he was comforted from his mother's death. 3 years later is when he received comfort or resurrected from the mourning of his mom. So you got death, burial, resurrection in 3, right? And then you also have blood, water, spirit. So you have the death of his mom, that's your blood principle. And of course, the mourning, the tears is your water principle. And it said that the spirit of Yahweh, he inquired of Yahweh about the child or whatever, and Yahweh, because of that, Yahweh allowed his wife to conceive. That's your spirit principle. And at the age of 40, he was actually comforted for his wife. And you can look at the comfort when Yahweh gave him his wife too. You can look at that. The angel of Yahweh going before the servants to even find Rebecca. So it's different ways you look at the spirit on that one. But you got blood, water, spirit 40, and then you have death, burial, resurrection of 3 within this 2. But also in the 8th verse of the 25th chapter, and so then Abraham gave up the ghost, and he died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people. Genesis 15th chapter, Yahweh told him that. Yahweh promised that unto Abraham. He said, and see, you should go to your fathers in peace in the good old age. Yeah, right here it says, and thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age. And so, of course, you have to see the same, even the same wording that Yahweh promised unto him. You have to see that also. 24th chapter, 25th chapter, 25th. I think we're in the 25th chapter. It's the 25th chapter where he was buried in the good old age, like Yahweh had promised him that he would be. What else was it that I saw? And of course, 12 princes came out of Ishmael, like Yahweh promised Abraham he would make of him, great nation as well, because that was Abraham's son. And let's see, what else was it? Yeah, 2 nations of people coming out of the one woman. 2 nations, 2 different nations, 2 whole different nations coming out of Rebecca. And Yahweh told Rebecca, he didn't tell Isaac, but he told Rebecca that the elder should serve the younger. So she loved Jacob because Yahweh had showed her, what would be of the 2 children, because that's what she inquired. Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated. Isaac did not know that. So he loved Esau because of the venison that he had eaten of his son Esau, but Rebecca loved Jacob. Let's see, what else was it? And of course, he's called Edom because of the red pottage. Edom means red. And he sold his birthright for a morsel of bread. Anything else anybody else has on the 25th chapter before we go to the next one? Okay. Now, remember he sold his birthright. And he swore by it too. All right. And he despised his birthright. All right, cool. All right, Isaac settles in Gerar. So here we go. 26th chapter of Genesis. Who wants to read that for me?
I got it.
Okay.
And there was a famine in the land beside the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went unto Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. And Yahweh appeared unto him and said, Go not down into Egypt, dwell in the land which I shall tell thee of. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and will bless thee. For unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father. And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto thy seed all these countries. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. And Isaac dwelt in Gerar. And the men of the place asked him of his wife. And he said, She is my sister. For he feared to say, She is my wife, lest, said he, the men of the place should kill me for Rebekah, because she was fair to look upon. And it came to pass, when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked out at the window and saw, and behold, Isaac was sporting with Rebekah his wife. And Abimelech called Isaac and said, Behold, of a surety she is thy wife. And how saidst thou, She is my sister? And Isaac said unto him, Because I said, lest I die for her. And Abimelech said, What is this thou hast done unto us? One of the people might lightly have lain with thy wife, and thou shouldest have brought guiltiness upon us. And Abimelech charged all his people, saying, He that toucheth this man or his wife shall surely be put to death. Then Isaac sowed in that land and received in the same year 100-fold, and Yahweh blessed him. And the man became great and went forward and grew until he became very great. And he had possession of flocks and possession of herds and a great many servants. And the Philistines envied him. For all the wells which his father's servants had digged in the days of Abraham his father, the Philistines had stopped them and filled them with earth. And Abimelech said unto Isaac, Go from us, for thou art much mightier than we. And Isaac departed thence and encamped in the valley of Gerar and dwelt there. And Isaac digged again the wells of water which they had digged in the days of Abraham his father, for the Philistines had stopped them after the death of Abraham. And he called their names after the names by which his father had called them. And Isaac's servants digged in the valley and found there a well of springing water. And the herdmen of Gerar did strive with Isaac's herdmen, saying, The water is ours. And he called the name of the well Esek, because they strove with him. And they digged another well, and strove for that also. And he called the name of it Sitnah. And he removed from thence, and digged another well. And for that they strove not. And he called the name of it Rehoboth. And he said, For now Yahweh hath made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. And he went up from thence to Beersheba. And Yahweh appeared unto him the same night and said, I am the El of Abraham thy father. Fear not, for I am with thee, and will bless thee, and multiply thy seed for my servant Abraham's sake. And he built an altar there, and called upon the name of Yahweh, and pitched his tent there. And there Isaac's servants digged a well. Then Abimelech went to him from Gerar, and Ahuzath, one of his friends, and Phicol, the chief captain of his army. And Isaac said unto them, Wherefore come ye to me, seeing ye hate me, and have sent me away from you? And they said, We saw certainly that Yahweh was with thee. And we said, Let there be now an oath betwixt us, even betwixt us and thee, and let us make a covenant with thee, that thou wilt do us no hurt, and we have not touched thee, and as we have done unto thee nothing but good, and have sent thee away in peace, thou art now the blessed of Yahweh. And he made them a feast, and they did eat and drink. And they rose up betimes in the morning, and sware one to another, and Isaac sent them away. And they departed from him in peace. And it came to pass the same day that Isaac's servants came and told him concerning the well which they had digged, and said unto him, We have found water. And he called it Sheba. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba unto this day. And Esau was 40 years old when he took to wife Judith, the daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and Bashemoth, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, which were a grief of mind unto Isaac and Rebekah. 26th chapter of Genesis.
All right, very good. Okay. All right, what you guys got for this chapter?
I wanted to mention some of the principles that I saw in this chapter. In the 11th verse, you got a blood which is also death. He that touches this man or his wife shall surely be put to death. And then a few verses ahead, in the 15th verse, you got a burial. The wells were filled with earth. And then also at the end of the chapter, in the 34th verse, you got a 40 principle. Esau was 40 years old when he took his wife Judith. And that's what I got.
And then two,
Yeah,
you got
where's the spirit? Go ahead, Vanessa.
I got spirit in the 12th verse, but I wasn't too sure. It said, then Isaac sowed in the land and received in the same year an hundredfold, and Yahweh blessed him. The blessed part.
and somewhere in here it mentions that angel again. But what I was going to say is this right here is basically a repeat with Isaac, that happened with Abraham. When Isaac told them that Rebecca was his sister. That's the same thing Abraham did with Sarah, said that she was his sister when in fact, and then you see how that Abimelech said the same thing. Look what you have almost made us do. So showing that the spirit law was truly operating in the man, because Yahweh had not spoken the law from the mount at this time, but they knew that it was wrong to be with another man's wife.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Anything else, anybody? No. Okay. All right. So yeah. So you have Abimelech back there with Abraham, and you have Abimelech back there with Isaac with the famine. Now in the days of Abraham, when the famine happened, Abraham went to Egypt, but Yahweh specifically told Isaac, "Do not go in the land of Egypt." He had to remain in the land where the Philistines were. Gerar is a city where of the Philistines, and Abimelech was the king of the Philistines. And so, kind of, you have different pharaohs. You have one pharaoh that was back there with Moses. You have one pharaoh that was died off when after Moses was born. You know, all the different stuff. So you have different Abimelech too. So this particular Abimelech, the one that made the covenant with Abraham, this was a different one, because otherwise they would not have been allowing them to dig those wells, because it talks about that after Abraham died, then the servants of Abimelech put earth in the wells and things like that. So, yeah, very good. All right, cool. Anybody see anything else? Why was it a grief to Isaac and Rebekah that Esau took a wife, took Judith, the daughter of Beri the Hittite, and Bashma, the daughter of Elon the Hittite? He had two wives. Why was it a grief of mine to Isaac and Rebekah?
He didn't marry into his father's people, like Isaac eventually did. So they're mingling, the seed. They're going into the daughters of men,
Right.
which they weren't supposed to do.
He married one of the women of that where they were dwelling, the women of the nation. Yep. Okay. Very good. All right. 27th chapter. We're almost done. 27th chapter. Who wants to read that for us? Read
I'll read it.
27th chapter, Genesis. Okay, go ahead.
And it came to pass that when Isaac was old and his eyes were dim, so that he could not see, he called Esau, his eldest son, and said unto him, My son. And he said unto him, Behold, here am I. And he said, Behold now, I am old. I know not the day of my death. Now therefore take, I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver, and thy bow, and go out to the field and hunt me some venison, and make me savory food such as I love, and bring it to me that I may eat, that my soul may be blessed thee, that my soul may bless thee before I die. And Rebekah heard when Isaac spake to Esau his son, and Esau went to the field to hunt for venison and to bring it. And Rebekah spake unto Jacob her son, saying, Behold, I heard thy father speak unto Esau thy brother, saying, Bring me venison and make my savory food, that I may eat and bless thee before Yahweh, before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to that which I command thee. Go now to the flock and fetch from thence 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make them tasty for thy father, such as he loveth, and thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may eat, and that he may bless thee before his death. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. My father peradventure will feel me, and shall seem to him as a and I shall seem to him as a deceiver, and I shall bring a curse upon me, and not a blessing. And his mother said unto him, Upon me be thy curse, my son. Only obey my voice, and go fetch me them. And he went and fetched and brought them to his mother. And his mother made savory food, such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob, her younger son. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands and upon the smooth of his neck. And she gave the savory food and the bread which she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob. And he came unto his father and said, My father. And he said, Here am I. Who art thou, my son? And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau, thy firstborn. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac said unto his son, How is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And he said, Because Yahweh thy Elohim brought it before me. And Isaac said unto Jacob, Come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, thy son, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not. And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and he felt him and said, The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy as his brother's Esau's hands. So he blessed him. And he said, Art thou my very son Esau? And he said, I am. And he said, Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him, and he did eat. And he brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Isaac said unto him, Come near now, and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him. And he smelt the smell of his raiment, and blessed him, and said, See, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field which Yahweh hath blessed. Therefore Elohim give thee of the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be master over thy brethren, and let thy mother's son bow down to thee. Cursed be every one that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting, and he also had made savory food, and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, Let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said unto him, Who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn, Esau. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly and said, Who? Where is he that hath taken venison and brought it me, and hath eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him? Yea, and he shall be blessed. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, O my father. And he said, Thy brother came with guile, and have taken away thy blessing. And he said, Is he not rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy master, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be of the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shall thou live, and thou shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah. And she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said unto him, Behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, doth comfort himself, purposing to kill thee. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, and arise, flee thou to Laban my brother, to Haran, and tarry with him a few days, until thy brother's fury turn away, until thy brother's anger turn away from thee, and he forget that which thou hast done to him. Then will I send and fetch thee from thence. Why should I be deprived also of you both in one day? And Rebekah said to Isaac, I am weary of my life because of thy daughters, because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob take a wife of the daughters of Heth, such as these, which are the daughters of the land, what good shall my life do me? I've read Genesis, the 27th chapter.
Very good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, what you guys get out of this chapter?
There's a lot going on.
Mhm. Mhm. This used to bother me for years. This chapter used to bother the crap out of me. I used to always not feel sorry for Esau, kind of, sort of, but like felt like, dang, that just seemed like it was so wrong. Like it's like he
Me too.
lied. Like that's, whatever. But me on the outside looking in, of course, me looking at the flesh, I would say that, and you would feel sorry for Esau and say, oh my goodness, I can't believe Jacob did that. He shouldn't receive the blessing because he lied and blah blah blah. But Yahweh said before either child was born, before either child had done any good or evil, Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated. He told Rebekah the elder should serve the younger. It was a foregone conclusion that this is the way Yahweh had it set up, that he would receive the blessing, because that's how Yahweh had it set up before they were even born. And so who am I to say something against Yahweh's purpose? And so that's why when stuff looks like this, we don't have to try to worry or try to fix it or figure it out and try to get in everybody else's business. Oh, I'm going to help Esau because that's not right. I'm going to go, I'm going to do, I don't know, we ain't got to do that. This is Yahweh's purpose. Nothing can go on outside of Yahweh's purpose at all. But the part that stood out to me the most was Esau said in his heart that he was going to kill his brother Jacob after he finished mourning for his father. and it was told Rebekah, his mother, what he had said. Who was it that told Rebekah? If Esau didn't even say this out loud, he only said it in his heart. That was Yahweh that made it known unto Rebekah. And all of this is going according to Yahweh's purpose, because Yahweh promised Abraham that he will multiply his seed as the sands of the sea and as the stars of heaven. Abraham had Isaac. Isaac only had Jacob and Esau. So the multiplication didn't happen with Isaac. The multiplication happened with Jacob. And so because Jacob's wives that were going to be multiplied, they were with Laban. They were Laban's sons. So this had to happen in order for Jacob to be sent to Laban's house. Otherwise, he would have never been sent to Laban's house. He would have never met Rachel or Leah. He would have never had the 12 sons of Jacob. The children of Israel would have never been born had this not happened this way. This is Yahweh orchestrating his purpose to perfection. So I'm good with the chapter now, but for a long time, it used to bother the crap out of me. I just couldn't get over this one. But anyway, go ahead. Anybody else?
I had the same, I had the same, I felt the same way too for a long time. I did not understand. I was like, they lied. Even the mother was in on it. It was, and but I understand, like you said, it took me a while. And just follow me, guys. It reminds me a lot of the scripture where it talks about he was perfect in his ways until iniquity was found in him. That was another one that I didn't quite get. But it's talking about the satanic spirit or Satan, how he's perfect in his way. And I said, well, until iniquity was found in him, but it was always there. That iniquity was always there. It just had to be manifest or brought forth. And and it's the same with Esau. It's the same principle I'm seeing with Esau, because like you said in the beginning, it seems like, well, poor Esau, he out here trying to cut venison. And that's another thing. He also was a hunter, you see. And when you go back in the scriptures, back to Nimrod, he was a mighty hunter. Cain, he was a hunter. When he offered unto Yahweh, he offered sacrifices. No, what did he offer? He offered.
Cain was a gardener. He was a tiller of the ground.
Right.
Cain offered the first fruits of the ground.
Right, but that was out of season when he. But it just put me in some mind of things that we have heard before in the scriptures. You see, so I had a problem with them too.
Yep. Very good. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. All right. 28th chapter then. If nobody else has anything else to share. All right. 28th chapter of Genesis.
I'll take it.
All right. Go ahead. Thank you, Kim.
Genesis 28. And Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and charged him and said unto him, thou shalt not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Padan Aram, to the house of Bethuel, thy mother's father, and take thee a wife from thence of the daughters of Laban, thy mother's brother. And Yahweh Almighty bless thee, and make thee fruitful, and multiply thee, that thou mayest be a multitude of people, and give thee the blessing of Abraham to thee and to thy seed with thee, that thou mayest inherit the land wherein thou art a stranger, which Yahweh gave unto Abraham. And Isaac sent away Jacob, and he went to Padan Aram unto Laban, son of Bethuel, the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, Jacob and Esau's mother. When Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Padan Aram to take him a wife from thence, and that as he blessed him, he gave him a charge, saying, thou shalt not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. And that Jacob obeyed his father and his mother and was gone to Padanaram. And Esau, seeing that the daughters of Canaan pleased not Isaac his father, then went Esau unto Ishmael, and took unto the wives which he had Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebuchadnezzar, to be his wife. And Jacob went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran. And he lighted upon a certain place and tarried there all night, because the sun was set. And he took up the stones of that place and put them for his pillows, and lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of Yahweh ascending and descending on it. And behold, Yahweh stood above it and said, I am Yahweh Elohim, the Elohim of Abraham, thy father, and the Elohim of Isaac. The land whereon thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in thee and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. And behold, I am with thee, and will keep thee in all places whither thou goest, and will bring thee again into this land. For I will not leave thee until I have done that which I have spoken to thee of. And Jacob awaked out of his sleep, and he said, surely Yahweh is in this place, and I knew it not. And he was afraid and said, how dreadful is this place? This is none other but the house of Yahweh, and this is the gate of heaven. And Jacob rose up early in the morning and took the stone that he had put for his pillows and set it up for a pillar and poured oil upon the top of it. And he called the name of that place Bethel, but the name of that city was called Luz at the first. And Jacob vowed a vow, saying, if Yahweh will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go, I will give me bread to eat and raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace. Then shall Yahweh be my Elohim. And this stone, which I have set for a pillar, shall be Elohim's house. And of all that thou shalt give me, I will surely give the 10th unto thee. I have read Genesis, the 28th chapter.
Very good. Thank you, Kim. All right. What you guys got for this one?
Well, one of the things that stood out for me is that he used the rocks, the stones as pillows, and Joshua being, referred to as the rock of salvation and whatnot. I just thought it was interesting how when he laid on those stones and used them as pillows, that's when he had that vision and whatnot. And then he anointed the rock, the same rock, with oil as well that he used for pillows. And another thing with the ladder that he saw in the vision, with angels ascending and descending, whereas we can kind of look at that in correlation to the charts, where when we line those,
What, the tabernacle or the elementary chart?
The elementary chart and the tabernacle. All of it's going according to the tabernacle pattern. But you have us, where the high priest would ascend and descend daily, and those, and you have principle in the charts. Some charts are ascending, some charts are descending, and what all stays the same is that the principles all lining up throughout, and and if you look at like the way a ladder is constructed, you got the left and the right side, and you got all these steps that take you on up or take you on down. The two main posts of it represent the law and the prophets, and then those steps could be likened unto those principles of blood, water, spirit, death, burial, resurrection, or whatever, that kind of ascends or descends, one in their understanding.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Yeah, I was looking at the tabernacle. With the tabernacle chart, you got this side, that side, and then you got the steps in here. You got 7 ordered steps. Actually, you got 7 steps of the tabernacle, like a ladder. But you got the angels embroidered on these curtains. And as the high priest is going up and down, you see the angels ascending and descending, and Yahweh sitting on his throne. So because it said that Yahweh spoke to him from the ladder. But yep, very good. Esau had to sit down.
Yes.
Now he'd already took two.
Yes.
2 wives of the
Right.
land of Canaan, the Hittites,
Right.
and then he was like, "Oh, okay." So my daddy didn't like that.
Okay.
So now I'm gonna go to my daddy brother's people then, because he wants me to stay within the family. So I'm gonna go to the blessing was not given to Ishmael, fool.
That's why.
And
That's
so he
why.
went to Ishmael. I will be like the Most High. Now he want to
Right.
be like Jacob, his brother, to get a wife of his father's household, his father Abraham's household, or whatever. So yeah, it's Esau to sit down.
But that
Anything else in this one?
Yeah, that was something I was looking at. Actually, in the last 2 chapters, you see where in the 26, how he was out hunting and he came in and said, "What is this? Give me some of that venison. What is this? Sell me your birthright." I mean, what is this venison? What is this birthright to me when I'm about to die? So Yahweh is going to make you manifest what's in you. You're going to manifest. That's why he said from the beginning, Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated, even before any child was born. He knew what spirit was in them, so it had to manifest what was there. So then the next chapter, then he talks about, you stolen my birthright twice. I hadn't taken anything. You gave it to me in the first place. You gave it to me. So now you want to throw the rock and hide your hand. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. You sold it to me. And it is Yahweh, like you said, that Yahweh made Rebecca know what he had said about, I'm going to kill my brother after my father died. And then just to show you what's in him. Oh, yeah. Just because my daddy don't like it, I'm going to go over here and get me a wife from over here where he told me not to get one. Okay, you're just further showing what's in you, and that Yahweh has not made a mistake. He gave the birthright to who it belonged to. So you can't help it.
Actually, Esau thought he was doing right, because Ishmael is Isaac's brother, so he thought he was doing right by going to his father's brother's house, because Jacob was sent to his mama's brother's house. So, since he went to my mama's brother's house, I'm gonna go to my daddy's brother then. That's not where you still ain't got no part over here, sir. Sit down. Just sit down, Esau. Sit down. Very good. Okay. Anybody else? We got 2 more chapters to go. All very good principles. Okay. Let's see. Genesis 29th chapter. I'll read that one. All right, 29:1. Then Jacob went on his journey and came into the land of the people of the east. And he looked, and behold, a well in the field, and lo, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks, and a great stone was upon the well's mouth. And thither were all the flocks gathered. And they rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the sheep, and put the stone again upon the well's mouth in his place. And Jacob said unto them, My brethren, whence be ye? And they said, Of Haran are we. And he said unto them, Know ye Laban, the son of Nahor? And they said, We know him. And he said unto them, Is he well? And they said, He is well. And behold, Rachel his daughter cometh with the sheep. And he said, Lo, it is yet high day, neither is it time that the cattle should be gathered together. Water ye the sheep, and go and feed them. And they said, We cannot, until all the flocks be gathered together. Wow. Wow. That one's juicy. And they said, We cannot, until all the flocks be gathered together, and till they roll the stones from the well's mouth. Then we water the sheep. Roll the stone from the well's mouth. Goodness gracious, that stone had to roll back off of Yahshua's grave, and then all the flocks, Jew and Gentile, had to be. Wow, that's beautiful. Okay, let me focus. I can't even get through this chapter, can I? 9th verse. And while he yet spake with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she kept them. And it came to pass, when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, that Jacob went near and rolled the stones from the well's mouth and watered the flocks of Laban, his mother's brother. And Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother, and that he was Rebekah's son, and she ran and told her father. And it came to pass, when Laban heard the tidings of Jacob, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. And he told Laban all these things. And Laban said to him, Surely thou art my bone and my flesh. And he abode with him the space of a month. And Laban said unto Jacob, Because thou art my brother, shouldest thou therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what shall thy wages be? And Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah was tender-eyed, ugly as a fool, but Rachel was beautiful and well-favored. And Jacob loved Rachel and said, I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter. And Laban said, It is better that I give her to thee than that I should give her to another man. Abide with me. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but a few days, for the love he had to her. And Jacob said unto Laban, Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah his daughter and brought her to him, and he went in unto her. And Laban gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah his maid for an handmaid. And it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, What is this that thou hast done unto me? You're getting payback for what you did to your brother, boy. Shut up. Did not I serve with thee for Rachel? Wherefore then hast thou beguiled me? And Laban said, It must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years. And Jacob did so and fulfilled her week. And he gave him Rachel his daughter to wife also. And Laban gave to Rachel his daughter Bilhah his handmaid to be her maid. And he went in also unto Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served with him yet 7 other years. And when Yahweh saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. And Leah conceived and bare a son, and she called his name Reuben. For she said, Surely Yahweh had looked upon my affliction, now therefore my husband will love me. And she conceived again, and bare a son, and said, Because Yahweh hath heard that I was hated, he hath therefore given me this son also. And she called his name Simeon. And she conceived again, and bare a son, and said, Now this time will my husband be joined unto me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Therefore was his name called Levi. And she conceived again, and bare a son, and she said, Now will I praise Yahweh. Therefore she called his name Judah, and left bearing. All right, that was Genesis, the 29th chapter. Let's unpack this woozy doozy. All right. So, of course, he was on the east. Had to be the east. Had to go to the east. What else do y'all see in this chapter? that I didn't holler out?
7 years, 7 years, and 7 years. And you can kind of point that up to the high priest having to do 3 trips into the on the Day of Atonement in the most holy place, sprinkling that blood 7 times each trip, totaling that 21 times, like with Jacob there. There's a bunch of other stuff, but I'll leave it at that.
Very good. All right. What else, you guys?
And the one thing I caught when I was reading this too, that you was oohing and ahhing over about the removing the stone from the whale's mouth. But I thought it was interesting how, they couldn't until all the flocks were gathered together, and how this, and they referred to the whale having a mouth and a rock was on it. You know what I mean? And at that appointed time when the flocks are all gathered together, then they can remove. Then the rock is removed, and that well they can get that water, and Yahshua Messiah, out of your belly, shall flow, waters of living, flow living water and whatnot. And, that's Yahshua Messiah. He is the living water, and they're watering the flock. And, if you correlate that to now, we're the flock that's gathering, and it's, that water is living water that we're partaking of when we're learning of him. So.
Yep. So let's go to John, the 21st chapter first. John 21. And about, let's see. 15. So when they had dined, Yahshua said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of Jonah, or Simon Bar Jonah, son of Jonah, lovest thou me more than these? He said unto him, Yea, Rabbi, thou knowest that I love thee. He said unto him, Feed my lambs. That's one flock. He says to him again the second time, Simon, son of Jonah, lovest thou me? And he says unto him, Yea, Rabbi, thou knowest that I love thee. He says unto him, Feed my sheep. That's the second flock. He said unto him the third time, Simon, son of Jonah, lovest thou me? Peter was grieved because he said unto him the third time, Lovest thou me? And he said unto him, Rabbi, thou knowest all things. Thou knowest that I love thee. Yahshua said unto him, Feed my sheep. 3 different times he talks about him feeding his sheep or feeding his lamb. 3 different flocks. The 10th chapter of John. Let's see what we're going to pick it up at. On the Good Shepherd. He's talking about the parable, so forth and so on. 11th verse, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for his sheep. But he that is an hireling and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf coming and leaveth the sheep and fleeth, and the wolf catcheth them and scareth the sheep. The hireling fleeth because he is an hireling and careth not for the sheep. I am the good shepherd and know my sheep and am known of mine. As the Father knoweth me, even so know I the Father, and I lay down my life for my sheep. Talking about death, burial, resurrection. And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice. Come out of the mouth now, the will. They shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd. So he's talking about other sheep that are not of this fold, a different flock, right? And then the woman at the well in the 4th chapter of John also, he talks about at the well now, the water that he's talking about giving is like water, everlasting water, that they should never thirst again. So he's talking about the Holy Spirit. That's what Yahshua was referring to about the water, the living water that he was talking about giving them to drink. And so when you look at Genesis, the 29th chapter, well, he talks about it was 3 different flocks. So, and you look, and behold, in a well in the field, and lo, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of that well they watered the flock, and a great stone was upon the well's mouth, and thither were all the flocks gathered. And they rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the sheep, and put the stone again upon the well's mouth in his place. In his place now, in the well's mouth, in his place. And Jacob said unto them, my brethren, what be ye? Da, 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 da. And he said, let's see. And they said, we cannot until, because he asked about feeding. So he said, lo, it is yet high day now. Neither is it time that the cattle should be gathered together. It's not time yet for the cattle to be gathered together. Water ye the sheep and go and feed them. And they said, we cannot until all the flocks be gathered together. And they until they roll the stone from the well's mouth, then we water the sheep. And so what that's talking about is the Jew and the Gentile being brought into one fold and receiving the Holy Spirit and being put in the body of Yahshua Messiah. After that stone was rolled back off of that tomb, and they saw that he had risen from the dead, and he ascended up into heaven, poured out his Holy Spirit, and then 7 years later, the Gentiles had to be brought in, and now they can receive the living water, which is the gospel, which is the Holy Spirit, from the gospel being preached to them. So that's what I saw in that. That was beautiful to me. And then too, to me, I was looking at too how he got some nerves. Man, how you gonna trick me like this, Laban? And he had just tricked his brother, so to speak. So even though Yahweh had it set for it to go that way, you still gotta, you gotta get it the way it comes. You put it out there, you gotta get it the same way. So of course he got to be tricked. But if by Leah, the tribe of Judah was born, not by Rachel. The tribe of Judah, which the Messiah was going to come from, came by the little ugly sister that he didn't want in the first place. And so it had to be done that way because Yahweh has a purpose and operation going on. So I thought that was pretty too. All right, anybody else? Anything else? So we got 4 sons being born into Leah so far. 30th chapter, I'll do that one real quick. And when Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister and said unto Jacob, give me children or else I die. And Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel. And he said, am I in Yahweh said? Who hath withheld from thee the fruit of thy womb? And she said, behold, my maid Bilhah. Go in unto her, and she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her. Okay, Sarah. And she gave him Bilhah, her handmaid, to wife, and Jacob went in unto her. And Bilhah conceived and bare Jacob a son. And Rachel said, Elohim hath judged me, and hath also heard my voice, and hath given me a son. Therefore called she his name Dan. And Bilhah, Rachel's maid, conceived again, and bare Jacob a second son. And Rachel said, with great wrestling have I wrestled with my sister, and I have prevailed, and she called his name Naphtali. That's a lot of children to be born in 7 years, ain't it? Maybe 14 years within the 14-year time, I'm assuming. That's a lot of children. When Leah saw that she had left bearing, she took Zilpah, her maid, and gave her Jacob to wife. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a son, and Leah said, a troop cometh. And she called his name Gad. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a second son. And Leah said, happy am I, for the daughters will call me blessed. And she called his name Asher. And Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest and found mandrakes in the field and brought them unto his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, give me, I pray thee, of thy son's mandrakes. And she said unto her, is it a small matter that thou hast taken my husband? And wouldst thou take away my son's mandrakes also? Super dramatic. And Rachel said, therefore, he shall lie with thee tonight for thy son's mandrakes. Goodness gracious, fill them out then, Rachel. And Jacob came out to the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him and said, thou must come in unto me, for surely I have hired thee with my son's mandrake. And he lay with her that night. Poor Jacob, bless his heart. And Elohim hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived and bare Jacob the 5th son. And Leah said, Elohim hath given me my hire, because I have given my maiden to my husband. and she called his name Issachar. And Leah conceived again and bare Jacob the sixth son. And Leah said, Elohim hath endued me with a good dowry. Now will my husband dwell with me, because I have borne him six sons. And she called his name Zebulun. And afterward she bare a daughter and called her name Dinah. And Elohim remembered Rachel, and Elohim hearkened to her and opened her womb. And she conceived and bare a son, and said, Elohim hath taken away my reproach. And she called his name Joseph, and said, Yahweh shall add to me another son. And it came to pass, when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Jacob said unto Laban, Send me away, that I may go unto mine own place and to my country. Give me my wives and my children, for whom I have served thee, and let me go, for thou knowest my service which I have done thee. And Laban said unto him, I pray thee, if I have found favor in thine eyes, tarry, for I have learned by experience that Yahweh hath blessed me for thy sake. And he said, Appoint me thy wages, and I will give it. And he said unto him, Thou knowest how I have served thee, and how thy cattle was with me. For it was little which thou hadst before I came, and it is now increased unto a multitude. And Yahweh hath blessed thee since my coming. And now when shall I provide for my own house also? And he said, What shall I give thee? And Jacob said, Thou shalt not give me anything. If thou wilt do this thing for me, I will again feed and keep thy flocks. I will pass through all the flocks today, removing from thence all the speckled and spotted cattle, and all the brown cattle among the sheep, and the spotted and speckled among the goats. And of such shall be my hire. So shall my righteousness answer for me in time to come, when it shall come for my hire before thy face. Every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats and brown among the sheep, that shall be counted stolen with me. And Laban said, Behold, I would it might be according to thy word. And he removed that day the he goats that were ring straight and spotted, and all the she goats that were speckled and spotted, and every one that had some white in it, and all the brown among the sheep, and gave them into the hand of his sons. And he set 3 days journey betwixt himself and Jacob. And Jacob fed the rest of Laban's flocks. And Jacob took him rods of green polar, and of the hazel and chestnut tree, and piled white straight in them, and made the white appear which was in the rod. And he set the rods which he had peeled before the flocks in the gutters in the watering trough, when the flocks came to drink, that they should conceive when they came to drink. And the flocks conceived before the rods, and brought forth cattle ring straight, speckled, and spotted. And Jacob did separate the lambs, and set the faces of the flocks toward the ring straight, and all the brown in the flock of Laban. And he put his own flock by themselves, and put them not unto Laban's cattle. And it came to pass, whensoever the stronger cattle did conceive, that Jacob laid the rods before the eyes of the cattle in the gutters, that they might conceive among the rods. But when the cattle were feeble, he put them not in. So the feebler were Laban's, and the stronger Jacob's. And the man increased exceedingly, and had much cattle, and maidservants, and men servants, and camels, and asses. Genesis, the 30th chapter. All right, what y'all got with this one, so we can finish on up? His name Jacob for a reason. Good.
But one thing I got was that with the names, that all of their names had meanings, and it usually, from what we're reading now, the names reflected whatever the mothers were going through at the time. Like Levi, is his name is what? Joined. It says, and she conceived and bare a son, and said, Now this time will my husband be joined unto me. And she named her son, therefore was his name called Levi, which means joined. And when you go down and you look at the other names like Naphtali and all of them, they all have meanings, and they reflect what they were going through.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
Carla, the one thing I was looking at was when they were barren, they didn't give the men credit for causing them to conceive. They said Yahweh gave them a son. And then you see that even in when they were talking about the cattle and all of that, it was Yahweh caused them, because when he was saying that, give me the speckled ones, then you see whatever, I think it was Laban, if he chose the speckled ones, and then Jacob had the plain ones, then it was the plain one that multiplied. So you see all of the multiplying came from Yahweh. So even now, when we look at things that we have to go through, if you serve, honor, and obey Yahweh, and you know that it is Yahweh from whence all things cometh, then you can see how that Yahweh is taking care of his, and it was brought out so beautifully in Sunday's class about that very thing. We whine and complain about what we don't have. How about just stopping to look at the little things that you do have? Because and I say little, but nothing is small when it comes to the blessings, and you know that it is of Yahweh. And that's what's going on here, because Sarah was barren, and you come on down and you see how that Yahweh was showing they were barren, but it took him to open up their womb to give them a son, because he had already told Abraham that he would multiply his seed. So then it wasn't of their own will that it was being done. It was by the word of Yahweh that these things were taking place.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Very good. Very good. All right. Anybody else? I saw Yahweh in all of it. On the surface, it looked like, Leah was being mistreated, or they pimped Jacob out. They was pimping him out for mandrakes and all that. But Yahweh said he was going to multiply. He's going to multiply his seed. I was like, dog, you got to come on, honey. I hired you for my son's mandrakes. Like, what? What are you talking about? For food? I got to lay with you for food? You my wife, what do you mean? But anyway, and then Rachel being all dramatic. Oh, oh my goodness. Oh, da, 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 da. Like, come on, man. Leah being dramatic. Oh, you taking my husband. He didn't even want you. He got tricked into marrying you. What are you talking about? All this extra stuff. But if you rise up above it, this is what Yahweh promised unto Abraham in the first place, that he was going to multiply them. And even though it seemed like he was tricked into marrying Leah, Yahweh had it set that way because that's where Judah had to come from, which the Messiah was going to be born of Judah. Even with Judah's son that was married to Tamar that died, and Judah was supposed to told Tamar she had to, wait until his younger son was old enough to marry her, and he didn't give Tamar his younger son when it was of age. And so Tamar ended up tricking Judah to sleeping with her, and she got pregnant by Judah. And that's where you get, the whole story of Boaz and Ruth and all of them. All of that came forth from Tamar and Judah. And so all of that is playing a part. Like it seems like they haven't been tricked into it, but it has to be that way. So they can't take credit for anything. You have to see that it's Yahweh that orchestrated all of this, because otherwise it was against their will, so to speak, for all of it, having to be that way or whatever. So I just thought that was beautiful to me. Anything else?
I think also, just to go back to Vanessa's point, that same spiritual bearing of fruits, right? And so actually I had started typing it in the chat and I lost it. But it was just the whole fact that we remember when we're bearing fruits of the Spirit, it's not us, it's Him that is resurrecting us from a death-like state and revealing everything that it is that we understand about this gospel. It's his Holy Spirit doing that. So just a beautiful analogy. I just wanted to add to that.
Very good. Thank you. Awesome. Anybody else? I think it's beautiful. And keep in mind, all of this that we're reading is what Yahweh showed to Moses. Yahweh showed all of this to Moses, their thoughts about it, no wonder Moses' face shined so bright when he came down, probably because of Rachel and Leah alone. They was dramatic tales that had Moses lit up, like, oh, they tempted my man, like, goodness gracious, I can't get over this. I'm just saying. But anyway, all this is his Moses' vision, the third trip that he took up to the mount, those 40 days. And evidently, they had to have started having children after he married Rachel. And it wasn't, so within that 14 years, because remember he worked, well, no, I don't know, that's crazy to me, because once he married Rachel, he worked 7 more years. And so it said he gave his sons the cattle. And how in the world you have 11 children in 7 years? Like that's a lot of children to be born. And in those 7 years, it's a lot of doggone children. Bless his heart. So Jacob was busy. So, but also in those 7 years, Leah had 7 children. So it couldn't have been starting the last 7 years. It had to have been within the whole time frame. But we know Rachel didn't have any kids for him until after they were married, though. Anyway, but I don't know. That's a lot of children having 7 years. But y'all was able, though. But goodness gracious, that's a lot of children.
There's a lot of children, period.
Yeah, right. And they had to be old enough for him to even give his sons the cattle to take. You know what I mean? Like, otherwise, Reuben would have been 7 years old. He was the oldest one, so it had to be within, longer than just 7 years when he started having children by Leah at least. So, but yeah, anyway. All right. Anything else, you guys see? All right. Thank you guys for your participation. So the next time we meet up in 2 weeks, we don't have a reading assignment, so to speak. We're going to do some catching up for those of you who joined us late. So we started in Genesis, the 2nd chapter, and now we're in the 30th chapter.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Hold on.
Okay. It's okay. I muted you. I'm sorry. And so 2nd chapter through the 30th chapter of Genesis is where we are. And so what I want you guys to do is go back these next 2 weeks and refresh yourself within these chapters between 2 and 30, and we're going to have an exercise next time we meet where we're going to do the pass the baton. So the first speaker will pick up whatever happened in Genesis, the 2nd chapter, and go as far as you can go for 10 minutes. And the next person picks up where they left off, and we're going to go in order to try to remember all the events in order from the 2nd chapter of Genesis to the 30th chapter of Genesis and see how far we can get. So we'll do pass the baton, maybe 5 minutes or maybe 10 minutes. We'll probably do 5 minutes per person, just to give everybody a chance to kind of keep going. So that's what we're going to do, try to learn it or remember it in order of the events that happened, just to kind of, sort of stick. So go back and read 20 through 30 again to refresh yourself and know the order of everything. And we'll have that exercise next time we meet. If you guys are interested in joining us next Monday of the private lessons class, that particular class, we do record it, but it's not posted anywhere. For everybody to look at. We post it privately, so all the members that are joining us, they can actually go and look at it privately. But this is the assignment for Monday. We have definitions, research, and reading assignments for each of those classes. And for the next lesson for next Monday, the definitions are on the screen, so screenshot if you can. Baptized, spirit, intelligence, knowledge, wisdom, love, beauty, justice, foundation, power, and strength. So we're going to actually go through the definitions of spirit and the 9 major attributes of Yahweh, and also baptized. The research. we are researching, we're going to give at least 2 types of water baptisms in the scriptures before John's baptism. And then we're also going to look at when was water baptism set up and when was it fulfilled? How many people did Joshua baptize before his death? How was Joshua going to baptize after his resurrection? Why did Peter water baptize the Gentiles after the Messiah resurrected in Acts the 10th chapter? What do the scriptures say spirit is? And how are we made in the likeness and image of Yahweh Elohim? Those are the research questions that we have, or research topics that we have. And the reading assignment is to read 1 Corinthians 10th chapter, Matthew the 3rd chapter, Mark 1st chapter, John 1st chapter, Proverbs 8th chapter, and James the 3rd chapter. So pretty much when we get into what spirit is and also about baptism and things like that. So that's for the private lessons class on next Monday, starting at 7 p.m. Central Time, and it will be recorded. So if you are interested, I can send a link to you for that class. Shoot me a text message or an email or whatever, and I can send you the link to join us for that class. If you just want to listen in or even do the assignment, that's cool. All right, so let's see the announcement. So this is the email address, which you can email us at meridiansoul, SOHL @gmail.com, or idmrmeridianms@gmail.com. And then our website is soulfood.org, SOHLfood.org. All right, who wants to do the doxology for me?
I'll do it.
Nobody knows. So thank you. Nobody knows doxology. Okay. Thank you.
I'll do it. Doxology is taken from the last 2 verses of the book of Jude. Now unto him that is able to keep you from falling and to present you faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy. To the only wise Elohim, our Savior, through Yahshua the Messiah, our sovereign, belong glory and majesty, dominion and power, both before all times, now and ever. Let us all say, hallelujah.
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 All right, very good. Thank you guys for your participation. See you guys next time. Hopefully see y'all Wednesday.